everybody, what's going on? Happy Wednesday and welcome to the DFS Pick 6, the RotoWorld DFS Pick 6, presented by RotoGrinders. I'm Eric Crane, and I'm joined by two of the best in the business. We got Evan Silva joining us. Evan, what's up, buddy?
Doing all right, man. We're just a little bit over halfway done, I think. But, I was talking with Reeves today, and we run out of buys like real soon, so I'm starting to take that gloomy outlook. But I hope everything will be okay.
I mean, when we run out of buys, that's when the days get longer. That's when
That's when you need to. That's when you need to make changes. You can't look at every statistic for every guy. You can't pretend that you can't pretend that you are running an algorithm on every single guy, with 6 data points on every single dude. You have to just be like, well, there are a couple data points on, this dude that are positive and maybe, 1 or 2 that are negative, and just move on to the next guy. That's how I feel. I would be interested to see what Reeves says about the same, because it's very similar. And Reeves is a maniac too, because Reeves gets his shit out on, Wednesday early afternoon, and I at least get until Thursday night. So it's a good question for Reeves.
All right, Reeves.
Well, listen, man. Well, that's because you're the king, bro. You got squatters' rights, man. I just come in. I got to get in where I fit in, man. But no, you're right. I mean, my article definitely will shorten up over time because, obviously, if you're new in this industry, and you guys know from RotoGrinders, so you guys can see the numbers on these shows. Obviously, these are DFS based, so the viewership stays high. But readership starts to fall off. Holiday season, guys drop out of leagues. They're not in the playoffs anymore. You can get DFS information everywhere. So, yeah, you definitely have to tighten things up. Skip some of the players that people really aren't looking at. Like you said, get a sentence or two. It's hard to train yourself out of that mode. The thing that makes it tough is, the holiday season is 2 weeks away, too. We're 2 weeks from Thanksgiving. And that's when just all chaos ensues, from working in this industry and then at home and everything. So yeah, it's a grind, but listen, man, it's fun. We're privileged to get to do what we do, and it's fun to talk about football. I think that this slate is particularly fun because we pick games that we want to build core plays out. We usually highlight core games. We have some of those today, but I think that this slate sets up to have more individual peck and pick pieces on it than a normal slate, than just take this game and play it. And I'm sure we're going to talk about a number of those guys, throughout the show.
Yeah, I mean, normally by this time of the week, I've got it narrowed down to 5 or 6 quarterbacks. I still got 10 on my list that I'm interested in. So It's definitely
it's like that, man.
Yeah, there are just so many different guys that are they viable? Yes. Are there black marks on them? Yes. I mean, it's just you got to kind of, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. And I'm actually really looking forward to doing this show tonight because I want to have you guys help me break down, figure out where to go this week because it's difficult. Let's start with our first game. It's a game. It's the highest total. We're going to be getting some of our core plays from this one for sure. New Orleans at Cincinnati. It's a 54-point total. The Saints on the road are 5-point favorites. New Orleans, they're coming off a big win against the Rams. They were at home in that one. Now they're on the road against the Bengals. Reeves, this Saints team, I mean, there are just so many different ways they can hit you. Kamara, obviously. Michael Thomas went off for over 200 yards last week. Where are you looking at this on the Saints this week?
Yeah, and the Saints, when you look at their offensive splits, it's kind of mishmash from what they were doing last year, and then high-scoring games based on opponent. They've had some games with some offenses that haven't been able to generate points, and they've kind of done what they did last year. They get out to a lead, and they just start grinding clock and not really, throwing the football anymore and playing on the offensive. You look at Drew Brees' splits this year, passing-wise, he almost has 100-yard difference, per game yardage at home versus on the road, because they're just running the football in the second half of these games, at the Giants, at Baltimore, at Minnesota, taking the air out of the football. But the thing about the Saints is you still want to piece them because they are scoring at such a highly efficient rate, even on the road this year. I mean, they lead the NFL in scoring on 65% of their possessions on the road. So they're just still marching up on the field. They're just, they need a team to combat them point-wise. I don't know if we're going to get that here now with A.J. Green off the shelf. It is admittedly hard to get away from Drew Brees this week, when you just look underneath the hood. You look at his home road splits, we're cognizant of him. He kind of he fails us in these spots, continuously. But, man, you look at this Bengals defense. and it has just been so bad versus the pass. I mean, you just run down some of these numbers. The last game they played,
it's a bad defense.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
They're not good against the run either. Like,
it's just bad in general.
They're not good against offense.
I think it's the most disappointing defense in the NFL this year.
Yep, and Evan, you and I talked about that earlier. We thought that Bengals defense was going to be reasonably good.
Yeah, they are, and I think some of it might be on coaching. But go ahead, Reeves.
No, man, I was headed just down to like just a bunch of jargon that was going to lead to the same thing, that they suck. And it's going to be hard to get away from.
Run it. We want to hear it.
No, I was going to say, look at these quarterback numbers they're giving up, like throwing through the air. So the last game they played, they give up 470 passing. The week before that, 358. The week before that, 369. Then Ryan Tannehill, under 2 bills. The week before that, 419. Cam gets him for QB3, doesn't throw for a lot of yards, runs all around. Joe Flacco, 376. Andrew Luck to start the year, 319. That's like if they do their part, like Breeze is walking into the bonus on DK. You should get some tuds with that too. But then you look at, like I said, those Saints splits, and they've been totally willing to put the take their foot off the gas pedal and play the type of football they did last year with the lead.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like there are so many different ways we can pick on this Bengals defense, and like with this matchup, I mean, are we just looking at the core pieces again? Or are we just looking at Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara? Are we messing with Mark Ingram? I've just been fading Mark Ingram. It's worked out so far. We'll see how long he's working out for, because we both know that, we all know that big game is going to come eventually. So, Evan, how are we attacking this Bengals defense?
I disagree, actually, on Mark Ingram. I think his time has passed.
Okay.
He had his PEDs year, and that was great. But we're not going to see that again. I mean, he's averaging 53 total yards per game over his last 8. 53 total yards per game. He has 3 touchdowns in that 8-game span. Last week he lost a fumble deep in Rams territory, and I don't know if you've tracked the history of Sean Payton with Mark Ingram's fumbles, but that does not usually end up going well for him. Last week we saw Alvin Kamara outtouch him 23-10. Alvin Kamara, since the Saints week 6 bye, has outtouched Mark Ingram inside the 10-yard line 8-3. So I think stay on the fade train for Mark Ingram until we really see it, because he's not getting the rock enough. He's not being effective. He doesn't get the ball in scoring position. Like, why would you play him at this point?
So I guess we're just going right back to Alvin Kamara then.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that Alvin Kamara is underpriced still. I thought that there was definitely a chance that Mark Ingram would come back and, take a big piece of the pie and, put Alvin Kamara in a position where he would be overpriced. But I think that Alvin Kamara is still underpriced. I mean, he's still an elite RB1, in that RB5 to RB8 range in terms of pricing. So, the Bengals have always just gotten smashed by running back receptions. This year is no different. It's part of their scheme. It's also part of the fact that their linebacker core is just awful. Like Vontaze Burfict, he's done. It's over, man. We used to talk about him as a difference maker. It's done. Nick Vigil, is he even going to be back this week? I don't even know. He's been, out with like a knee injury. Like this is the Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas show. And just because Mark Ingram came back, it really hasn't affected a whole lot.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, I mean, it's really hard to imagine or at least one of those guys not going off Reeves. I mean, do you have a preference between Kamara and Michael Thomas, or is it just, you play one or play the other and you're probably going to be happy either way?
Yeah, I mean, I do like Kamara a lot just because you can get him, on the cheap, and he's one of those combo backs, an elite offense, so I definitely like going back to the Kamara train. Like Evan said, he's out-touched Mark Ingram, inside the 10 and out and in the red zone, just it's like a 3-to-1 split. So, I mean, you're getting him. He's basically the number 2 wide receiver. In a season full of like bonkers offensive numbers, this Michael Thomas season is really crazy. They've connected on 70 of 79 targets, like through 8 games. Like, it's just silly. He has 3 drops. They've credited him with 3 drops. So like basically he's had like 6 uncatchable targets all year. Like basically.
Reeves, do you have like a historical comparison for Michael Thomas? I've been thinking about this recently. I can't really put my finger on something because he's so good in the slot. Like, and every time he lines up in the slot, Breeze is like rocking it to him. Like, it's like his target rate per slot snap is just absurd.
You have to let me think about it. But, I mean, they started the year using him in the slot a ton, and they kind of got away from it. And I wish that they would go back to really jamming him with, and just use him fully. Because now it looks like Dez is just going to be he's going to be their tight end.
Well, last week he had 6 of his 12 catches, which is ridiculous to talk about. He had 6 of his 12 catches on slot routes. And they even try to the Rams he had that long touchdown because he moved inside.
Yep.
And Peters try to chase him in the slot, and it was just like, see ya, and he had that monster gain. But I don't know, it's fun to watch Sean Payton scheme. Like, do not underestimate Sean Payton. Just working the Rams last week. I think that was something on his belt because that I think that meant a lot to him because I'm sure he's heard a lot about how Sean McVay is the best play caller in the NFL and this and that, and they did work against the Rams.
How has it taken so long for a coach to figure out that, hey, look, the slot cornerback is usually the worst cornerback on the team. Let's put our best receiver and, get him. How is it 2018 and, there's one or two teams that figured this out?
Because they all wear tinfoil hats, man, on the sideline. They just want to listen to their own stuff.
Fantasy analysts been talking about this for half decades, huh?
It's just you have started to finally see it this year a little bit, just a little bit. Remember we had that game the Bengals moved AJ Green away from Xavier Howard the one game. They've doing it. Michael Thomas has done it a couple times. It's just a little bit. But the Bengals have just been getting toasted by every receiver, but especially lead wideouts have really racked them too. So I mean, it's a prime spot. It's hard to get away, and the Saints we like them because the core is so concentrated. It's those two players putting the ceiling weeks on the board, and then you might get some touchdowns peppered in because Breeze is so good. Ben Watson might get one game, or Traquan gets one. We're just kind of in that same boat. We probably got another week. Well, Traquan's gonna be fine still. It's in totality. He's gonna be hard to chase the splash plays. But we got another week, I think, where he's on the board. Cincinnati has allowed 5 catches or 40 or more yards to wideouts just over their past 3 games. 3 of those have gone for touchdowns. And we haven't seen him hit that deep ball since that Washington game. We might get another one of those.
Well, the Bengals have just allowed the most completions per game in the NFL. I mean, that's hot for opposing passing games. What I want to hear, Reeves, I want to hear you talk about Dez. What do you think about Dez?
Ben Watson's probably a little sad because Dez is probably a little better of a tight end than he is in the passing game right now. But yeah, I mean, listen, Dez can tweet all the videos he wants. This dude sat out for half a year. He was terrible last year. I mean, if he's going to adapt to that big slot role, that's fine. Breeze is really efficient in the intermediate game. So Breeze can make Dez work, and Dez is good in contested catch situations. But as far as fantasy, I'm not in a hurry to go out and own him or anything like that. I think he's still going to be pretty low volume, have some touchdown upside, but I think he just gets in the way probably of really wanting to really trust Traquan moving forward. But I mean, it's Kamara, Michael Thomas, man.
Yeah, I saw somebody on Twitter posted. They said, well, what? Here's how you handle Dez in season long. You pick him off waivers and now immediately trade him, because I just don't have a lot of faith that he'll be fine, I'm sure. But I don't. Evan, do you like Dez at all in this spot? I'm just kind of.
He ain't gonna do anything.
Yeah,
November 29th though, man. I'm playing Dez. I know that.
Is it Cowboys
against
game?
the Cowboys? Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about the Bengals side because.
No, is that Thanksgiving?
The week after.
Ah, shit.
Dude, Thanksgiving's in 2 weeks.
Every year, our Thanksgiving shows are the best. Admit it, Crane.
Of course, every show we do is the best. Every show we have the 3 of us and Kobe.
So diplomatic, Crane.
I know, right? Let's talk about this Bengals side because I'll tell you what, this AJ Green injury kind of has me down because AJ Green was just going to be almost a lock play for me this week against the Saints. They haven't been able to cover anybody all year, and now he's out, which means that Tyler Boyd, we might think, we might have some value with Tyler Boyd. He's priced at 7,400 over on DK. All of a sudden, Tyler Boyd value, it kind of went bye-bye. So to me, are we looking at these secondary pieces on Cincinnati, guys like CJ Uzoma, John Ross? Are we going right back to that nightmare? Reeves, what do you think about this Bengals side?
This is tough. I want to hear Evan's takes. I mean, AJ Green is this is a big loss. I mean, this guy, 9.5 targets per game around the table, 40% of the team air yards, 26% of the team targets. Obviously, Boyd is the guy you're drawn to because, the Saints are a team that we target, in the slot, especially, I think they're just middle of the pack and stuff. They've been touched up by some good players. Cooper Kupp last week, Adam Thielen roasted him the week before that. So we got target increase, and Boyd's clearly the best guy they have left on the table. I mean, John Ross probably isn't good at football. We've got Alec Erickson, who's like a career preseason DFS guy. Evan definitely has some Alec Erickson takes. Auden Tate's not even on DraftKings. Like, you can't even play him. So, I mean, if you like Auden Tate and think you want to chase that touchdown, he's not even on DraftKings. So it's tough, man. I want to hear Evan's takes on this, though, because he was tweeting about some of these guys when we chose this game. But it's unfortunate that the news came out because you don't get a free square in Boyd because they were ahead of the game with this news, and his pricing is
Tyler Boyd on FanDuel. I was like, I started like 6,200. I started scrolling down, and I was like, where is this dude? And then I went back up. He was at 7,800. He's more than like Mike Evans. You know, I'm like, man, I can't. Can you justify playing? I mean, he's in a great spot.
It's a great spot, but I mean, like, at some point you have to kind of say, can I really click this button at freaking 7,800 for Tyler Boyd? Like,
oh my God.
He's 74.
He's like a wide receiver 7 or something.
Yeah, I mean, I get the matchup's great, and I get that look, if we did kind of blind resume here and we said he's the top pass catcher on a team that's at home going to be trailing against the team that can't stop the pass, and it's the highest total of the week. If it was blind resume, would we be playing Tyler?
He's good.
And by the way, he's good at football. We would be playing him.
Yeah. I think he's cash viable. I'm not going
to play him, but you can play him.
Yeah, I mean, look, I get what you're saying. I'm just saying that, like, take the name out of it.
I know.
I mean, he's a player.
He has a boring name too. That's an issue. Tyler Boyd.
It's a good take.
It doesn't help. Yeah. John Ross. I mean, come on. But it's I don't know. It's hard to talk yourself into this stuff, and it really is a good spot in general, I think, for the Bengals because they're coming off a bye. They're facing a team that is coming off a very emotional primetime Sunday night win, and then is going on the road. I think that the Bengals beat offensive expectations in this game because I think that a lot of people will just look at, hey, they don't have Tyler Eifert and they don't have AJ Green, and I think they probably put up 23 to 28 points in this game. But it's just where is it going to come from? Could it come from Joe Mixon? Because the Saints' run defense has been like legit the best in the NFL. But they also gave up, 97 total yards and 2 touchdowns to the Rams running backs last week. The week before that, they gave up 121 total yards and a touchdown to the Vikings running backs. Joe Mixon has been really freaking good, and he's catching the Saints in a pretty like favorable spot, like from a just from like a theoretical standpoint. So what do you think about Joe Mixon this week?
Go ahead, Reeves.
He didn't make the cut. Like, he's not in my initial cut of guys. I'm like Crane. I try to keep like 6 to 8 running backs to try to cut down if I can. So he's not really there. I think that the Saints, like, you look at in totality, they're giving up those yards with 10 individuals, like, still not a lot of squeeze there for a guy that you have to pay, top 10 price for. It's just tough, man. You got Gio Bernard coming back. You don't know really what's going to happen, if he's going to share any, because Mixon's not catching the ball is the problem. I think that's the main problem. I mean, he has 58 receiving yards over his past 4 games. He had 54 receiving yards in week 1. I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago when they played the Chiefs. Like, why did they get away from using him the way they did in the preseason in week 1? Like this, we thought you just brought up rational coaching.
And the way that they are using him in the past.
Yeah.
Been non-productive. Goodberry has talked about this a lot. Goodberry.
Yeah, they're not putting Mixon in a spot to really succeed to accentuate everything he does well.
I mean, I get that people will play Mixon this week. Like, I am sure of that. A lot of people are going to want to click on that. He's kind of like a DFS darling. A lot of people like to play Joe Mixon, and I'm kind of with you, Reeves. I'm just probably not going to do it this week. There are other guys that's at a similar price point that I like just as much, but I mean, it's not without fear. Like, I certainly am worried that Joe Mixon's going to go for, $120 and 2 scores and just screw me by not playing him. If I'm going to play these Bengals guys, I'm probably going to play the receivers. I know Tyler Boyd's expensive, but I mean, look, if I'm going to get a number one receiver who's good against the Saints in a game where they're going to have to throw unowned because of the price, I'm just going to roll the dice and do it. But Evan, what about these secondary receiver spots? Guys like John Ross, Alex Erickson, any interest in those guys?
I was looking at that earlier today. I mean, I think John Ross is a bust. Just everything on his profile is red flag. I mean, it's just red flag after red flag. It's just really bad. It's really bad. I mean, like last year they thought about converting him to cornerback. Like it was that bad. Josh Malone, I want to like it, but they don't play him. They've actually been using Alex Erickson, who is a preseason. He's like flirted with, being a preseason factor. They've been using him on the outside. He's ran 80% of his routes on the outside this year. He's really a total slot receiver. So he's stretched to do that in a real game. They called up Auden Tate from Florida State, who I think it runs like a 5.1 40 coming out of Florida State.
There's a wide receiver who runs a 5.1 40.
It's a little exaggerated, but it's close.
Oh.
It's close. Cody Core made some plays. He was the dude opposite Laquan Treadwell at Ole Miss. He made some plays last year, but I think he's a chump. So they legit have nothing opposite. They have nothing opposite Tyler Boyd, which brings into play C.J. Uzoma, who in his last game, and a lot of people played him that week, and I don't blame them for playing him because he suffered this stinger on the literal first drive of the game, and he just didn't catch a pass the rest of the game. And he's a tough dude, he's really tough. And he stayed in the game, and he got 4 targets, but it's like, stop throwing to this dude, Andy, because, he ain't going to catch anything because his arm is like, it's like this. So – but he should be healthy coming off the bye. I think he's kind of interesting. What do you guys think about C.J. Uzomah?
I think he's really interesting. I like C.J. Uzomah a ton in this one. What about you, Reeves?
I'm up in the air. I think he was still limited, and so I mean it's tough. Just pay attention to it throughout the week, see what he's doing. It's another one of those weird tight end weeks. I told Evan, I was joking for a show, like I think I'm just not paying for tight ends anymore in my cash lineup. Like at any point, like I've started to punt tight end in like my main core, like just cash lineup, and it's just really worked out well. So I think I'm going to keep doing it.
Think about how rich you would have been last week if you just played Jeff Hoyerman and everything.
Oh man, dude, I laughed.
How rich?
I played Mark Andrews on DK.
Rich.
That was the dude I hovered around.
Okay.
I'll tell you, I mean, you want to.
Yo, Reeves, give Crane your sleeper tight end this week.
No, man, I got to keep that to myself till late in the week.
Oh, really? Interesting.
I got to follow the practice reports, man. I got to see what's happening.
Is it Kobe? Is Kobe?
Yeah, it's definitely Kobe. Listen, if Dez can get back in the game, Kobe can.
Why not? I'll tell you what, we've talked about all these Bengals. I mean, highest total on the slate. It's a home team, that's going to be trailing, have to throw the ball a lot. Reeves, are we just ignoring Andy Dalton here?
I mean, his splits with A.J. Green are pretty bad. His splits with and without him. I mean, he's been a QB1 in just 4 of 11 games. So, I mean, you're not getting a lot of squeeze there. I'm just not going to chance it. Like, the QB pool is so deep this week. You talked about before the show. It's so hard to narrow around. I'm like a 3 to 4 QB guy, and like I'm like, oh, there's like 7 quarterbacks I want to play, and Andy Dalton like just can't make that cut. So he's definitely got to make the second cut.
What about you, Evan? Any interest in Dalton?
Just Keenum's not on the slate this week, so I really don't know who to play at quarterback.
You're the worst. Just gonna walk off the show. Really? It's for freaking 22 minutes into the show, and I'm just going to give the bye-bye. Freaking cake.
No, I mean, I think, Fitzpatrick against the Redskins looks real, real hot. Today I started to talk myself into Dalton. I really did. But when I want to talk myself into a dude, I also want to be able to justify from a pass catcher standpoint. So that's why I wanted to hear some positivity from Reeves about C.J. Uzomah. He did not give it to me. We all kind of we like Tyler Boyd, but still it's I don't know what to say. Like, I think that Andy Dalton is like a decent floor play. This is how I would assess it, is that I think he would be a decent floor play with very little chance of being like a top 5 quarterback play on the week. And so I want to give myself, when I'm, like going for a DFS quarterback, doesn't matter if it's in cash or tournaments, I want to have a guy who I think is going to be a good floor play and has monster upside.
I'm just trying to figure out how much it would be.
Yeah, I mean, Dalton, you look at Dalton, he's had Green all year, and he's had 3 20-point games. I mean, it's hard to say, like, he's a guy that really offers just, like, a plethora of upside.
All right. I mean, it sounds like you guys would rather take New Orleans and just lay the 5. Cincinnati's got to get in the bye. I mean, they're going to score 3 touchdowns in this one. It's the Saints. They think it's passing. I'm still not convinced to not play Dalton, but I see what you guys are saying. All right, let's move on to Atlanta at Cleveland. 51-point total. Atlanta on the road. They're 5-point favorites at the Browns. And Reeves, man, Browns secondary, they're really banged up. But you know what happened last week. Julio finally got in the box, baby. Now, is the streak starting this week? That's what I want to know.
Evan joked and said Pierre Garçon would score before Julio Jones, and he was actually correct because they played on Thursday and Pierre Garçon scored. Julio played on Sunday, but it's technically the same week, so we'll kind of call it a draw. So who will be the next guy? I mean, Julio is in another fantastic spot. Denzel Ward had a hip pointer. They lost E.J. Gaines for the season. He had his second concussion in 3 weeks. They just put him on IR. They've already lost Terrence Mitchell for the season in their secondary. Demarius Randall will still be questionable probably to play all week. And when he didn't play last week, they moved their slot corner, Brian Body Calhoun, to play safety. So I mean, they signed the ghost of Phillip Gaines, who got cut from the Bills. He got signed by the Browns today because they just need guys to play. So I mean, this team is hurting. They put Christian Kirksey on IR today. This team is just bleeding out, defensive players because they've just been on the field so much, all season. It's just all that is starting to catch up to the Browns.
Yeah, and this Browns secondary, they were good. Like, they had been playing pretty well as far as, pass defenses go.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, we saw it with the Falcons. Like, when you start to lose that many players, you can't. And, like, when you're a team that was relying on turnovers too, and those start to dry up, like, it's a tough way to live. And this Falcons offense has been just hot all year, especially the passing game. I mean, Matt Ryan has been so freaking good this year. His peripheral stats look almost identical to this point that they did in 2016 in his MVP season. They almost look just dead on. I mean, Julio leads the league in receiving yards per game. I mean, it's a smash spot, especially if Ward doesn't go. The thing is, you got to pay for Julio. That's always the problem. I mean, you never get the discount. So I mean,
I told you guys that Julio was going to score last week.
I brought it up, man. I brought it up.
Of course he was. The 5% week, of course, because he's the
Of course he scores in the same week as Pierre Garçon too. How about that?
By the way, I'm giving
Charles Clay didn't though. Charles Clay did not. He did not score.
Charles. Wait, is that Reeves' guy?
No, these are all the guys who had gone on these season plus streaks of never scoring a touchdown that we had.
All right. So, Evan, you were kind of saying this Browns good against the pass thing. It's over.
Oh, I mean, I could go on like a massive Browns rant right now, but I don't want to. I don't want to.
Being a parent can be really challenging. Child and Family Resource Network focuses on connecting pregnant parents and those with kids under the age of 5 with free support services to help them on their parenting journey. Everyone deserves someone they can turn to for help with parenting. Visit childandfamilyresourcenetwork.org today.
Disappoint the people.
I mean, look, all right, first of all, you have 4 overtime games, okay? So, you understand that your players have played more snaps than most people, right? I mean, you're aware, you're cognizant of that, correct? And you haven't had a bye. You have your bye in week 12. You have a really late bye, right? But you keep running out your studs on the defensive line, Larry Ogunjobi and Myles Garrett. Larry Ogunjobi has played 2 more games worth of snaps than any other defensive tackle in the fucking NFL. Myles Garrett has played almost 2 more games than any other defensive end in the entire NFL. You you bricked on Chad Thomas, okay? So you had a top 65 pick at a defensive end, and you take a dude who wasn't productive in college and who wasn't athletic in Chad Thomas, okay? So that's bad process, and you're getting a bad result. He's played 22 snaps on the season, okay? So you can't sub out Myles Garrett for this dude because he sucks. Why did you draft him, okay? You also cut Carl Nassib, who, by the way, when you went and played Tampa Bay, he rocked your ass. He rocked you. He had like 4 tackles for loss and 2.5 sacks. Good for him. Shitting all over you because why'd you cut him? He was on his rookie deal. He had 2 years left on his rookie deal. Why did you cut him? Okay, I mean you're making bad decisions left and right, and it's disappointing. Like I don't understand it. But anyways, I think that the Browns at this point, having played so many, like they're gassed, man. Like Reeves talked about it this week. They are gassed, and they have given up 31.3 points per game over their last 6 after allowing 19.7 in their first 3. They're going to continue to get smashed, and they're at this point they're a defense to attack.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Matt Ryan, obviously a great quarterback to attack him with, because I understand that Julio just got in the box once this year. I think a Matt Ryan to Julio stack, it feels like, Reeves, that it's going to be under-owned, doesn't it?
I don't know. I think Matt Ryan might go under-owned just as price and where everyone falls. I mean, and plus I think people just don't like to play Matt Ryan. I did that. Remember my first YouTube chat I did where you came in, Crane? It was like a Matt Ryan Armageddon, like when he was 57 on DK versus the Saints. It was like a full-fledged hour-long Matt Ryan war. People just don't like this guy. I don't know, like they just don't like him. They don't like to play him. I mean, he's been awesome. He has 5 games.
I don't like to play him. I don't.
See?
Because he doesn't add anything with his legs either.
Yeah, no, it's true.
To me, is always an issue, and he's always really expensive.
Yeah, but he is expensive now. He was cheap for a while this year. Now he's expensive.
He was like stupid cheap for a while.
But yeah, he was, because he's stacked yardage like every week. But I think the Brown side is interesting in this game. Is probably the interesting fantasy side of this game, because like their offense is still like hitting in spots where we want it to hit. I mean, you look at the game, like Baker, especially, like has shown like for fantasy purposes, like he has like a fine floor in these matchups. We wanted to play him against Tampa Bay, and he was good. We wanted to play him last week against the Chiefs, and he was good. So, I mean, we got another spot where the Falcons are just giving up a bunch of production in the passing game. They gave 300 yards passing Alex Smith last week. The Redskins didn't score any touchdowns in that game, but there was opportunities. So, I mean, Baker's like on the board. I think when you look at the way they used Duke Johnson last week, a lot of people are going to flock to Duke Johnson, especially on DK at 47. Because he didn't just come in and get dump offs. Like they were running plays to Duke Johnson for the first time all year. I've watched every freaking Browns game this year, and he would come in and get like a couple dump offs. Like they were running legit plays to him, like in the red zone too. So I mean, this in the matchup lines up. Everyone always wants to attack pass catching backs against the Falcons. Later on, we'll talk about. There's a direct pivot to Duke Johnson.
Imagine having a rookie quarterback. Okay.
Yeah, it makes.
and you have your left tackle is an undrafted free agent. He's so bad that you have to bench him. So you bench him for a dude who's been a bust for 6 different teams in Greg Robinson. He's your starting tackle.
Greg Will was talking up Greg Robinson too.
Oh, typical. Well, Greg Robinson, Greg Williams wears fake glasses to look smarter. So he wouldn't know. He doesn't know what he's even seeing at this point, right? But I mean, how could you not like design plays to like high percentage, quick hitting play? Just get the ball to your good, receiving running back to make life easier on your rookie quarterback. Like that's the most common sense thing. And that's the first thing that Freddie Kitchens came in and did. He's like, we're going to throw to our good pass catching running back. Literally the first thing that he did.
Yes. I mean, we can expect a lot more of Duke moving forward, I think, right?
Well, this week too, I think it lines up again for him to be a part of the game plan. Like this is the week. Like, show us that it sticks, Freddie Kitchens. Like, show us like you're smart enough to realize this. It also, I mean, is another week. It stinks because we and Davis were talking about this when I filled in for Evan the Soulcast. If you run like a lineup optimizer every week, like who's the dude that always pops on it? like every week as a wide receiver. Like if you're running just a blind optimizer based on volume and price every week.
Jarvis?
Yes, every week this dude pops up.
And Antonio Callaway a little bit lower too.
Oh God!
Here we are. This is the similar spot that Jarvis was in a couple weeks ago against the Bucs. Like it's literally that good of a matchup again. I mean, this team has just been getting dunked on in the slot. I mean, we saw, Maurice Harris had 10 catches against them last week. Sterling Shepard the week before, 5 for 167. Adam Humphries, 82 yards the week before that. Tyler Boyd, 11 for 100. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's, especially on FanDuel, that's always priced around like wide receiver 25. I know it's not full PPR, but you're getting a guy like wide receiver 25 pricing that's going to get 10 to 12 targets against like one of the worst defenses at home in a game where they're going to have to score points. It's just like that Bucs game like a couple weeks ago. Like I think you have to play him on FanDuel. Like you have to.
Yeah,
what's his price on FanDuel?
I think 66 or 67 or 65. I'll double check.
He's been cheap on FanDuel for a week.
Marvin Jones is 6,200.
All right. Yeah, I mean
MVS is 5,400.
Well, MVS is in. Well, we'll talk about him later. Right. Like he's already in.
Yes.
He's in everyone's lineup though. He's in everyone's cash.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's probably got to be a tournament fade though, right? Like he has to be a tournament fade.
He's just so cheap.
People still think he sucks.
But it's just you think
every day. People like. No,
people say,
what's the RotoGrinders projected ownership? Can you find it, Crane?
Yeah, give me a second. I'm just gonna say though, like with Valdez Scantling, like even if he's 20% on, which is pretty high when we're talking about a wide receiver, right? Like 20% on is pretty high. That's still
20's fine. It's when you have it like Sutton last week. Like Sutton was like 35, and it was like this dude has a 0 floor still. You can't play him in tournaments. Like if he's gonna have 35% ownership.
Man, he had like a 40-yard touchdown that he caught.
Yeah. But that's the whole like game theory point. Like I thought Sutton was a good play for his price and everything too. But it was just like when you have those boomer bust players and they're going to have ownership in the 30% range, especially at wide receiver, you get an edge when those guys bust because that's 30% of the field on a guy.
I'm looking at 20% of Marquez Valdez Scantling.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, 20% is cool.
That's too. How high is too high for 125 yards and 3 touchdowns?
I mean, I would guess that like 100 would be too high. By the way, Tyler Boyd.
Yeah, I agree with that.
17.5% on Tyler Boyd.
Who?
Tyler Boyd.
That's good. I mean, that's exactly what you want.
Yeah, I'm still gonna play him, man. Like I even if he'd be popular, I bet he won't.
I have no shame on Cortland Sutton. Go ahead and watch the game, okay?
I'm not shaming it.
Throw him. I'm not saying that you are. Don't take this personally. They throw him a screen pass. He gains 21 yards like on the first drive, and he catches like a 40-yard touchdown, and then Charisse perennial burn victim, somehow knocks it out of his hands in the end zone.
It was a great play.
It was a great play by Charisse Wright. Our boy Thorman calls him Charisse Wright because like charred, like burnt. Anyway,
we got
it. Anyways, I mean, I have no regrets about Cortland Sutton. I mean, he was cheap enough. I don't care.
I know everybody's going to play Duke on the Browns. What do we think about Nick Chubb this week, though? Like, to me, he goes a little bit lower roam than Duke, and even though he's not going to see the passing game work, it's still a fine matchup against Atlanta. Reeves, what do you think about Chubb?
I think he was in a much better play last week when he hit and everyone saw him. Just because I don't think you're worried about the volume. You're getting the volume, 18, 20, 23 touches. They've trailed in all 3 of these games. Atlanta's just actually pretty decent against the run. Like, they actually have, like, a good run defense. So you got a spot, I brought this up last week with AP when a lot of people, I was not in Adrian Peterson at all. And I was worried about, 1, you had to get the game script right with AP. And then 2, it's the total yard splits are completely geared towards passing and rushing with the Falcons. Like it's all like in one basket. So I mean, you got all these receiving, yards going to the receiving back. So it leads to Duke. I think Chubb's fine. If I was in a season long, I would have no problem still playing him. I think he's not going to make the cut though. Just like I said, the pool is so deep this week. I don't think he's going to make my cut.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you, last week you mentioned you wanted to fade Adrian Peterson. I also faded Adrian Peterson. But I did play a Washington Redskins running back. Thank you, Capri Vibs, for coming through for your boy over here. All right, let's talk about our next game.
Wow, dude, how do you have just like this crazy luck? Like he got like 4 touches, and one of them he snuck into the end zone from 3 yards out. Like, come on,
Crane,
catching running back.
Crane, can I get some of this luck, dude?
Crane, Evan is mad because I played Bibbs against him in a season-long league.
Welcome aboard. Yeah, we're on Team Bibbs here.
No, that was in Dynasty, wasn't it?
We played in 2 leagues last week. I've been a season long. I played pre-Bibbs.
Did you? I know you lit me up in one. Did you light me up in both?
Yeah.
Yeah,
but Evan got me earlier in the year in another league, so I owed him a weekend.
Yeah, I mean, hey, and you probably wouldn't have got there if it wasn't for our boy Capri. Yeah, buddy. Sorry.
Capri pants.
All right,
Sometimes you got to show them calves off, man. Them calves got to pop.
All right, let's talk Seahawks at Rams. 51-point total. The Rams are 10-point favorite. Todd Gurley, he only had 20 points over on DraftKings last week. It was the worst game of the year. Todd, what are you doing to us? Oh, no. I mean, Evan, he continues to be a high floor, high ceiling guy, and this week should be no difference against Seattle.
Yeah, just murders. I mean, I think he murders. I mean, look, Melvin Gordon went to CenturyLink last week and dropped bombs, and now the Seahawks, they got humbled. They need to get humbled. Like last week, I was getting from the 12s. They call them the 12s. I was getting all these like tweets because I was kind of like down on them. Entering the season, I didn't even say anything that bad, but I was like, these were bad hires that they made from coaching staffs, and I didn't think they were going to be that good, like maybe a below 500 a little bit. I didn't say they were going to be terrible, but I'm getting like all these tweets, like all these from the 12s, like telling me, taking victory laps, because they're 4-3, and then they get rocked at home by the Chargers, and now they have to go on the road to face the Rams. They're about to be 4-5, and Todd Gurley is he's going to drop haymakers on them, and I'm excited. I'm going to have him in every lineup. That's my plan.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to fade him. Like the FanDuel price is a little bit prohibitive, but on DraftKings, he's 10.2, so he's been priced up a little bit. But still, I mean, the DK pricing has been so soft this year that Reeves, I think it's really easy to get Gurley in there.
Yeah, it's what's really come down to the site preference and where you play most of your money, because he's been an auto play on DK all season, and FanDuel is starting to give you free squares for people that want to play him because they've jacked his pricing up so much over the field of the top running backs that you can play now 2 top running backs on FanDuel. If you want to pair Gurley with a guy that's just $6.5K to $7K, you can play Melvin Gordon and Kareem Hunt this week for the same price. It's just, you can't do it. You have to swallow the pill and say, I'm not going to have Todd Gurley, even though people are going to have him on FanDuel, because it just doesn't make sense to pay $3K more for a running back, over on that site. I mean, it just doesn't when you can play those guys and you compare those guys. But on DK, it's a whole different game, because he's easy to fit in, every week, and his price really hasn't moved around that much. He's kind of floated in that 9.5 to 9.8 range. Then he got to 10 once. A couple weeks ago. But yeah, he's easy to fit in. You start your team with him on DK, I think, every week.
Yeah, I mean, it makes life easier. Like, it's very rare. Like, last week, did he crush it for 30 points? No. Did you regret playing him? No, you didn't. The quarterback on this game, Jared Goff, he's projected to be our highest owned quarterback right now, which is a little bit surprising for me, especially, with Gurley. Everybody just wants to play the Rams, I guess. Reeves, what do you think about Goff?
I think he's fine. I mean, he's really good. Like you look at his peripheral stats, we knew that we talked about him last week, that in the games where people match the Rams on the scoreboard a little bit, like that's when he's been the best. And when they get out the big leads and, they give Gurley all those touchdowns, at the end of games, his numbers never really inflate. He's had, if you look at his splits, it's just been like that. So they're going to have a team, match them on the scoreboard, or the Seahawks going to do that. Then he's in play. I mean, highest ownership on the board feels pretty lofty. I'm not a part of that life. But he's in a real good spot still against a Seahawks team that has allowed over 300 passing yards. They allowed Phillip Rivers to throw for 8.8 yards per attempt. Stafford threw for 310 and 2 touchdowns. He threw for 321 against the Seahawks when they played in Seattle earlier in the season. He played half that game without Brandon Cooks and Cooper Kupp. So I mean, he's going to have those guys back this week. It's a real good spot. I mean, it's tough for me to say I want to just have him as the highest ownership on the board and compete with that, especially in this slate. But yeah, he's Jared Gosling. I mean, what, get him in?
Yeah, I mean, I always worry about the volume with him. I always worry about the red zone looks, just because Todd Gurley takes up so much usage in the red zone. And that I don't think I've played Goff all year, and I've done okay with it. I mean, it's not like Goff's been bad, but just like I found guys that I think are going to get more volume. And I guess that's kind of what you have to look at. Evan, when you look at Goff, like, yeah, he's a great play. Yeah, he's a good quarterback, but like the volume is always a concern with me because they get up so often and they don't have to pass.
Yeah, I mean, and his history against Seattle is not particularly good. I think Reeves kind of hinted at that and, justified it in some ways. But, I mean, and, this year, like, Seattle's defense has not been giving up big games to opposing quarterbacks. They've given up a couple of decent games, but not big ones. I do think the game could shoot out, though, and that's where he comes into play as – a guy that might offer a ton of upside. But I don't know. I mean, he doesn't run for yards, which doesn't help his floor. I mean, he's got, like, if you just look at his scores over the course of the year, he's got a pretty good floor. But I don't know. He's a guy that I struggle to play personally, honestly, because, when I'm assessing all the quarterbacks, I'm looking at guys that, I mean, he's got to throw like 4 touchdowns to compete with, dudes like Deshaun Watson or Cam Newton, that have the ability to, like, throw for 2 or throw for 3 and run for 2. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. He's definitely a guy that I struggle to play personally. It doesn't make him a bad play. I'd play him in season long. I have him in a bunch of season longs, but in daily fantasy, like, he's always lower down my list probably than he should be.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm the same way. Like I said, you said he's got to throw for 4 touchdowns. That's really hard when you have Todd Gurley on your team. It's just not going to happen. You mentioned this game might shoot out. I assume that you like some of the Seattle side, Evan. I waited for you to take a drink to ask you a question.
I mean, I do. It's kind of hard to pinpoint because we know what the Seahawks want to do offensively. They don't want it to be a shootout. They want to run the ball, and I think they can run the ball successfully on the Rams. Most teams do run the ball successfully on the Rams, but until they fall behind by 20-0, and then they can't do it anymore. I think if Chris Carson is out, though, Mike Davis can be a really hard dude to get away from. Especially at his price. Because first of all, he leads all Seahawks running backs in targets and catches. And last week we saw him get 8 freaking targets, and you look at the Rams, like they've been very giving in terms of receiving usage to running backs, very giving in terms of yards per carry to opposing running backs. So he kind of like if Chris Carson is out again, like Mike Davis, with the exception of like being a home favorite running back, almost checks like every box. He outsnapped Rashad Penny 51-13 last week, or 58-13.
Rashad Penny's
good draft pick. Real good draft pick.
Yeah, he and John Ross can go.
How about taking a special teamer with your first round pick, by the way?
That's it. I mean, that's a John Schneider special, man. That's a John Schneider special. This dude's been clown shoes for 6.5 years, man. Like just clown shoes.
Ooh, yo, tweet that.
I've done a bunch of times, man. I've showed proof that he's been clown shoes, man.
Oh man, I need to get these 12s out of my mentions and send them somewhere else.
No, man, I don't want them in mine. I don't got the time. We talked about it. It's week 10. It's week 10. I don't have time to be pushing haters out.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. People out there, RotoGrinders, make sure you tweet out this clip and just use hashtag 12th man.
Clown shoes. They know he's clown shoes.
No, they don't.
He is, man. He's a joke.
Okay.
All right. Well, I mean, what about the passing game here? Because to me, I think the Rams are going to end up getting a ton of pressure on Russ, and Russ actually throughout his career has been pretty good against pressure. I actually have to mention Tyler Lockett here because I think, as we've seen against the Rams, they can get beat deep, especially with these cornerbacks just being not that good. Reeves, what do you think about the Seattle passing attack?
Just you can't put your finger on anyone, right?
Lockett.
Yeah. I don't know. I think when you look at the volume and the ceiling potential, I think you gotta like East Central, man. If you're going to choose one of these guys, he led the team in targets last week. Then you look at like the highest scores.
East Central. Did you see that? East Central.
I swear to God, I don't.
Great. Do you even know what he's talking about?
Not a clue.
We talked about it last week. We talked about that's just his name. His name's just East Central from now on.
I'm looking up. See, what am I missing here?
But listen,
Central?
We talked about it on the show last week because you said you lived in Oklahoma too, and
I did live in Oklahoma.
I lost my train of thought. So listen, so he led the team in targets last week, but so the problem with these Seattle guys is Russ is throwing all these touchdowns on low value. So even when these guys score, they don't put together big weeks. It's like, oh, cool, Tyler Lockett scored. Great, he had 15 freaking points. But when you look at since week 5 on, the guy that has, 18.8 and a 19.7 game is East Central. So, I mean, like a dude that has a chance to get 100 yards and maybe multiple touchdowns is probably him where he's priced. I mean, like I said, I think it's just if you're going to play Russ, it's just so hard to nail one of those guys to stack him with. That's what makes playing Russ so frustrating. I think he's in a good spot price-wise on DK for sure. But like Evan said, I mean, I'm looking at Mike Davis and Chris Carson, them finally just eating the bullet. Like Chris Carson's starting to turn into like almost like Matt Breida, where like this dude, like, just sit down, dude. Like, don't play. Like, just don't play for us. So we can play Mike Davis.
Please.
Yeah. I mean, look at Mike Davis last week, 25 touches, 124 yards. In week 4 when Carson missed. Last week he has 22 touches, 107 yards. Evans had 8 catches. I mean, we want to play that. We want to play that guy.
Hey, speaking of which, Matt Breida is about to go off on Monday night. Hey, Crane, have you figured out who East Central is?
No, I Googled East Central football, and I found the East Central Trojans football team from St. Leon, Indiana, Max Preps page. So I've got that. I also found East Central Credit Union in Pasadena, California, and their banking site. Are we talking about David Moore? Is that who we're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. East Central. If you're going to give a guy a nickname that starts with a letter, it needs to be the first letter of his name. That's just a rule. Don't mess with me. Like, I'm sitting here thinking. Like, we
did a segment on this last week. Like a whole thing.
We did.
Whatever. I wasn't paying attention because I don't remember hearing anything about East Central. Although I'm pretty sure that's going to be my next DFS screen name. All right, let's talk some quarterbacks then, because I have had it up to here with Eve bleeping Central. All right, Reeves, we kind of talked earlier in the show about just how many quarterbacks were on the slate. We already talked about Goff, Dalton, Breeze, Mayfield. I'm not doing Russ, Matt Ryan. Here are the other names that I have. Tell me if any of these, pique your interest. Pat Mahomes, Andrew Luck, Alex Smith, Marcus Mariota, Phillip Rivers. Like, Reeves, pick one of those guys because I think they're all in solid spots.
Yeah, those guys are all good. Fitzmagic. The two guys, I like the Indy Jaguars game. Man. I mean, Blake Bortles, man, he's in a good spot this week. 4-9 on DK. I mean, so the Colts play fast. They play fast on offense. AJ Boye's out, so Luck's going to be fine. You look at the recent quarterbacks that have faced the Jaguars. I mean, Carson Wentz was fine in London, 283, really ran into no trouble. If they would have had a more positive wide receiver 2 in that game, he would have threw for a lot more yards. The week before that, Dak ran all over them. Really was fine efficiency wise. Mahomes got him for 300 yards. I think Luck's going to be fine where he's priced, but Bortles. So you got where the Colts are going to be score points in this game. I think they will score points. It's not going to be like a Jaguars shutdown game. The Colts play fast. Bortles runs, and the Colts are allowing the second highest completion percentage in the league. And what they do with that is they don't give up splash plays, but they allow quarterbacks to just stack production over and over. So many completions per game and they're all successful. Even a guy like Blake Bortles.
Zone loves to give up high completion.
We were able to play Derek Carr against this team 2 weeks ago. He was the QB3. Sam Darnold got a season high. His season high points was against this defense. The only team that they've stopped the past month was Derek Anderson. It's the only that's the only dude they've shut down. So I mean, it's just way too cheap for his rushing upside. For the game to have a sneaky potential to score more points than people expect, because the Jaguars are still a good defense. They're just not that defense they were last year. They're still a good defense, but it's a good spot for Blake Bortles, man.
So when Landry Jones comes in, about halfway through the first quarter after the
Cody Kessler
Bortles picks. No, Cody he's gonna be inactive. Landry Jones week.
Well, can I get QB Jags? Like, can I just get QB Jags?
Do you remember a couple years ago when Landry Jones started the game against the Browns and Ben Roethlisberger came in?
Yeah.
The person who won the frickin' Millie had Ben Roethlisberger, who didn't even start the damn game. You remember that?
No, I don't remember that part of it. I remember the game.
That happened.
I remember the game.
Sanu, but Jesus, like that's way worse than Sanu. I mean,
way worse.
Yeah.
Way worse.
I don't think I can do Bortles, man. Like I'm just afraid he's going to get throw to the other team too many times. Like,
don't try to talk us into it, Reeves.
Yeah, I mean,
dude,
Reeves, you know, I love cheap, crappy quarterbacks who can run, and I can't even.
It's my vice, man. I was drawn to it. I saw that 4.9, and I got kind of excited.
4.9 is cheap. 4.9 is cheap.
That's a lot to pay for a zero, man.
Just do one lineup with Bortles and Moncrief. And just put in a bunch of studs. That I think that's the best option.
I mean, with Fournette coming back, we saw this before from the Jags. I understand the point where, like, if the Colts get out to a lead, they're not going to be able to do this. But don't the Jags just want to run it? They
can't run. They can't run.
But they're going to try.
Yeah, until they give up 17 points in the first half.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem. But good for Andrew Luck.
Luck is actually like a really interesting tournament play this week, by the way.
Oh, yeah, he's
he
cheap
has
on
everyone on board. He's gone 160 pass attempts without a sack. He's got T.Y. Hilton back. He's got Jack Doyle back. He's got Ebron. He's got the difference maker that is Chester Rogers. He's got Marlon Mack, Naheem Hines.
Inman.
Zach Pascal. Ryan Grant.
Clarence Verdon is in there. Marvin Harrison.
Haywood Jeff Ayers.
Yeah, no, I like Luck as a tournament quarterback, and I don't think go ahead, Evan.
Ken Keith.
You're just gonna keep naming it. Who is the guy that played opposite Marvin Harrison? Why am I forgetting?
I would have loved to play
Reggie Wayne. Brandon Stokely.
Yeah.
How fun would it be to just travel back in time and play DFS like in 2009? Knowing what we know now.
I'll
take last week. Forget 2009.
We would all be CSU Ram.
Just sleeping on stacks of Hondos. Yeah, not a bad gig. Evan, any other quarterbacks that you like that maybe we haven't mentioned?
Aaron Rodgers.
Is he good at football?
He hasn't looked like it very recently, but I like Phillip Rivers.
What about
Carson Wentz, but I guess he's Sunday night. Mariota, yeah, I think he's kind of interesting. I do think he's kind of interesting. Does he have big upside? I mean, he's got the rushing ability. Yeah, he does. I mean, again, Fitzpatrick. How do you guys feel about Fitzpatrick? Like, first of all, let me ask you this, okay? So one thing that I always try to look at as a data point when I'm trying to decide on my quarterback is these days I'm just playing, I'm an old man, and I'm just playing like one Thursday through Monday lineup, and then I'm trying to optimizing it and not make it too chalky, and then playing one main slate lineup and just throwing it in every single tournament and using it for a ton of cash, which to me has worked out like actually really well, because usually I'd finish in the money in cash, and then hey, if I just like cash everything. Mm-hmm. In terms of tournaments. I'm not doing like a bunch of different tournament lineups, but all right, so I'm looking at Ryan Fitzpatrick, okay, and like really everything like I like about how his outlook is, except I'm worried that the Redskins are going to put up like freaking 3 points.
So you're not on Alex Smith then?
Are you?
Tampa's got one of the worst defenses in the history of football, man. Like
you're not gonna get behind Blake Bortles and you're gonna try to push Alex freaking Smith on us. That's the plan. That's Reeves, the plan right now.
Reeves, walk off.
That's the plan. You don't want to play Case Keenum any week, but you're gonna push Alex freaking Smith on us.
Alex Smith. Josh Doxson.
Alex Smith.
Alex Smith.
His best wide receiver is Maurice Harris.
Big Vern, baby. It's Big Vern week.
And Capri Bibbs. Half cab Bibbs. Calves out Bibbs.
I'm just saying that, like, I'm almost willing to play any quarterback against Tampa. Seriously.
That's fair.
Look, do you understand that his the right side and the left side of his offensive line are both out? So what do you do when you lose the right side and the left side? What is
Screens
left?
to Capri Bibs, baby. That's what we do.
That actually no. I thought about that, and that actually might be right. No, but I'm serious. Like I don't think
with the Alex Smith Capri Bibs.
Reeves, do you think they're going to score? I don't think they're going to score. They don't have an offensive line.
Everybody scores on Tampa.
Is that true? Can we Reeves, you're on mute.
They're already the lowest scoring team in the NFL with a winning record.
It's because they haven't played Tampa.
They've been at Fugazi all year. It's now they're hurt. Like all their guys are injured. We saw their offensive line get injured last year, and it fell apart on Kirk Cousins, and he was almost unplayable the back half of last year because of it. They lose Paul Richardson. How hilarious! They've lost everyone except for Jordan Reed. Jordan Reed's the only guy left.
Who still sucks?
Jordan Reed's the only guy left. And he's watching all these guys fall.
This just goes to show how bad Alex Smith is. Honestly.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Really
every team this year has put up at least 21 on the Bucks. I'll tell you, the Eagles. The Eagles put up 21s. The Browns put up 23. Everybody else has gone over.
But the Bucks home games, the Bucks road games have had like an average of 70 total points, and at home like it's a total of 51. I think that's probably the area we're looking at. Like I think the Redskins can probably get like 20 to 24. Maybe on like a high end, maybe like 20 to 24. Well, they'll get a pick six.
All right, true.
What and then another
on the scoring here.
Yeah, then another interception gets run back like the 20, and they kick a field goal. So that's 10. Capri Bibs, how's the screen?
Capri
How's
Bibs.
the screen?
Yep.
Yeah,
we're at 17.
And then the defender falls down, and Morris Harris scores.
24.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty easy.
Yeah. It's an easy game. DFS is so easy, guys. I'm just saying, I think Alex Smith is interesting. All right, we're already at an hour. Let's real quick talk.
I get it.
Golly. We haven't talked about this game, but Melvin Gordon might be my highest owned guy this week. Reeves, can you give me Reeves? I mean, Melvin Gordon, like, why wouldn't you play this guy against Oakland?
Paint a devil's advocate picture for this. I dare you.
Go ahead.
I can't.
He gets hurt.
He gets hurt in Austin.
Don't do that. Don't do that. We're not wishing injuries.
I agree.
But I mean, everyone knows to play these guys. We know Kareem Hunt's in a smash spot. Melvin Gordon's in a smash spot. How about the guys? We're the pivot guys. Who's the under the cusp guys?
Is Aaron Jones going to be popular?
He should be.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't know if he will be.
Every lineup.
Yeah. Aaron Jones is in a great spot. How about a direct pivot on DK? Same price, $100 cheaper to Duke Johnson. Deion Lewis, 100 cheaper.
I think Deion Lewis might end up being one of the most popular guys on the slate, by the way.
He deserves to be.
Yeah, they finally figured out he's their best offensive player the past few games. The Patriots have allowed 5 or more receptions to a running back in 4 of their past 5 games. He's got 155 yards, 122 yards. And the Titans have only trailed by more than a touchdown for 7 total snaps in those 2 games. Last week, they only trailed, period, for 18 snaps. They've just realized he fits their offense a lot better. If you don't give a tarmac to Derrick Henry, he's not getting any production.
Yeah, I mean, Derrick Henry, like, at this point, he's just Eddie Lacy, isn't he?
He's worse than Eddie Lacy.
Oh, my God. And you hate Eddie Lacy.
No, I loved Eddie Lacy back in the day.
P90X.
Well, I hated him, in the P90X.
I was thinking about that the other day. How he just, like, Evan just goes on a rant about what the common man does.
Yeah, well, I fucking nailed it,
I mean, listen, Chris Hogan's got a way better workout plan than P90X.
Chris Hogan? Oh, yeah.
A lot more cardio. Chris
out there just running $1 million wind sprints.
just running wind sprints.
How about David Johnson? You guys on the David Johnson train?
I mean, that team might score.
Yes.
Dude, his price is sunk, though, man.
No, I get it, but, like...
Did you know that the Chiefs have given up the most fantasy points in the NFL to running backs this year?
I do. And
receiving points?
Arizona has a team total. Arizona has a team total of 16, and David Johnson's going to be popular.
And he's going to score all of them.
He better. So if
you think he'll be popular?
Oh yeah.
No, he won't be popular.
Oh yeah. Because this is
no,
what's going to happen. Dude, I've already seen like 3 different articles this week writing up David Johnson. This is
no one reads Monday and Tuesday articles.
Yeah, but this is the guy where we're all going to look back on Sunday and go, whoa, how the hell did he get popular? Because I'm telling you, this ownership is just going to slowly climb throughout the week.
I disagree. We'll
all
see.
Right, let me see. Projected ownership, 10%.
Yeah. Oh, that's low.
I'll take the over. I'll take the over on 15. You
have a dude who has a projection of 17 to 22 touches facing the defense that gives up the most fantasy points to running backs in the NFL, and his projection is only 10% now.
I understand what you're saying, but I just don't trust the Cardinals to score, even against the Chiefs.
Neither do I. But,
if he doesn't get in the box, he's got to have a perfect game.
This is the exact argument you're making against David Johnson that you tried to make for Alex Smith. I will not stand for this hypocrisy in your Alex Smith agenda.
I love Heated Reeves. I've seen him in real life too. It's awesome. I'm like, yeah, Reeves.
It took me 3 years and Alex Smith to get him triggered. That's what
I love Alex Smith. You make me throw shade on Jesus.
No, and it's not the same argument because Alex Smith has a team total 10 points higher. Like
you said you made him throw shade on Jesus.
All right, let's talk about wide receivers because why the hell not at this point? Reeves, give me some wide receivers.
MVS.
Marquez Valdez.
Yeah, I'll let you guys talk about MVS. The Pats guys are looking at a pretty good spot. Tennessee is terrible against wide receivers and guarding anyone. They're all bad too. Malcolm Butler's bad. Logan Ryan's bad. Adoree Jackson's bad. None of those guys matter. They've only allowed 13 touchdowns in the year offensively because they haven't played anybody. The Titans haven't played anybody. And they've allowed, out of those 13 touchdowns, 11 have been passing. It's a bounce back spot for Brady. The Patriots have been scoring a bunch of points. They have just had 1 passing touchdown the past 2 weeks. It's a Brady, Josh Gordon, Julian Edelman game. It's coming down this week.
Yeah, I like the Josh Gordon call, and he won't be popular at all. And he has slate winning upside every time he touches the field especially against this Titans defense. Evan, what about you? Give me some whiteout.
Belichick is like a troll too. I could see him just running Josh Gordon at Malcolm Butler just over and over and over again. Like 22 targets. And just
that in the post.
I forgot all about that, to be honest. I forgot all about that
in the post game to say.
And by the way,
in the Super Bowl.
By the way, Malcolm Butler sucks.
He's been awful.
By the way,
he's been awful.
He sucks. Okay.
Yeah.
So, if we want like an explanation for why Malcolm Butler didn't play in the Super Bowl, maybe because he sucks.
Talent. That's mostly talent.
Remember when they played last year and he just threw at Logan Ryan the whole game with Danny Amendola?
Oh yeah, he is a legit troll, man.
Dola had 13 targets in that game.
Yeah, nice. Hey, that just makes me think. Josh Gordon. That's who I'm going to play. I'm going to play Josh Gordon a lot. Yeah, and people are talking about Deion Lewis revenge game. Deion Lewis is good, but Bill Belichick got him paid, so I don't think that there's going to be I don't think that Deion Lewis can be that vengeful. All right, any other wide receivers we need to touch on, Evan?
I'm looking here, man.
Mike Evans, we haven't talked about him if he plays.
Yeah, I really like Mike Evans.
Yeah, if he's healthy, I don't think he's going to go 1 catch on 10 targets for 16 yards again. So
No. And he was 5th among all NFL wide receivers in air yards last week. He's like a perfect buyback spot especially against Josh Norman. Josh Norman's a chump, by the way, man. He's a chump. He got rocked by Julio Jones last week, and he lost. Like he just got burned, and then he grabbed Julio by the back of his jersey, and just ripped him down for like a 46-yard DPI. And other than that, he just got rocked. Oh, the Julio Jones touchdown was a thing of beauty, man. Like they designed a fake pitch to one side, and Jake Matthews, their left tackle, he creeps out and he just comes and just rocks Josh Norman, and then Ryan hits Julio on the screen, and Julio's just off.
He almost didn't get in either. Like, I thought he was going to get tackled at like the 3.
Don't hate, dude. Don't hate.
I did. I thought he almost didn't get in. It's just a fact.
He broke the tackle and then he got in.
Yeah, I know, but I thought he was going to get tackled. That's what I was saying. Like, I thought it was going to be wrong.
But wide receivers, yeah.
You wanted to talk about Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
I mean, I always want to talk about Marcus Valdez-Scantling. We're going to see Devontae Adams on Xavier Howard. Obviously not a battle that Devontae Adams is going to struggle to win, I don't think. But, maybe that'll cut him down by, a target and a half. And then Marcus Valdez-Scantling, you can't cover Marcus Valdez-Scantling. He's 6'3". He runs 4.37. He plays in the slot in outside. Like, tell me someone who could cover him. Maybe Patrick Peterson? Who can cover Marcus Valdez-Scantling?
Nobody, and I think Aaron Rodgers really started looking his way more too. I mean, he
has 100 yards or a touchdown in 4 straight games.
Yeah, he's very clearly earned Rodgers' trust, which is obviously, as we all know in that offense, big. So yeah, no, I'm fine with MVS this week. Even are you buying the Robbie Anderson being reunited with his quarterback, with this Josh McCown talk? Have you heard about this? Josh McCown started.
I mean, I get the price if you want to run him in some tournaments. I mean, he didn't do anything against the Bills last year, neither did McCown. The Bills' pass defense is actually good, and he's hurt. I mean, dude's playing hurt. Like, I get it. The price is right if you want to take some swings and the splits. I mean, he had that 6-game stretch where he was hot, but he had 8 catches for 70 yards in 2 games against the Bills. Fitzpatrick threw for under 200 yards in both those games. I don't think he throws for a high bunch of yardage in this game either because they're not going to have to.
Yeah, you're just banking on a big play. Yeah. But it's certainly possible with Robbie Anderson. Guys,
yeah, it's fine.
Guys, we got to get off here. We have gone over. We've kept the producer too long, but it's been a lot of fun. For Reeves, for Evan, for Alex Smith, and for East Central and Kobe Fleener, of course, I'm Eric. We'll see you guys later. Peace.